Okay, I think we're live. If you're here, let us know where you're watching from, and I'll wait for people to come in. We're live on both Facebook and YouTube. Okay, I see people are starting to come in. Hi, Jamie. Hello, everyone. Let us know where you're watching from. It's a beautiful day here. Finally, it's warming up a little bit. How is it in your neck of the woods? We have people from Georgia and Wisconsin. Hello, everyone. Just want to give it like another minute or so. Asia is with me here. She's helping me out. And if you have any questions as I'm demoing, if you put in all caps, that'll help me to see it better. I'm still getting used to reading while I'm doing, so. And I want to show you, this is the card that we're going to make today. And we're going to do what I'm calling a Northern Lights background technique with Dylusions Diamond Dust. And I use that term lightly. It's really just like a sparkly nighttime background that I'm going to show you how to make. Just a different way to use your dusts. So I think I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera to my desk, and then maybe we can get started. Okay. And so, again, if you're just joining us, my name is Patti Behan, and I'm the social media specialist here at Ranger and education specialist. And Asia, who also does social media, is with me here today. She's going to be helping in the chat, answering maybe any questions that I miss. And we're going to be making a Northern Lights background using Dylusions Diamond Dust. And I just wanted to show you how that looks. And if keep talking in the chat and go ahead and ask questions, because at the end, we're going to pick a winner from Facebook and a winner from YouTube. Okay, so let's get started, and I'll tell you what we need to do. So first off, as our background, I have a piece of distressed heavyweight cardstock, and it is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm doing that because I'm going to eventually put it on this card base, which is just a regular A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so that it'll sit in the center here. And this is a Dina Wakley Media Craft cardstock. And this is the same paper you'll find in her journals, but it also comes in a 10-pack. And also another thing, Asia will be putting a link for all the supplies we're using in this live in case you're interested. Okay, so we have our background, and then we're going to use diamond dusts. And I have here pink flamingo, London blue, pure sunshine, white linen, island parrot, and cherry pie. And I have something on my screen that's blocking the comments, so just give me a second. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm working on the nonstick craft sheet, and I'm going to use a brush, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of powder like randomly on my craft sheet here. And first I'm using the pink flamingo, And I want to keep in mind the size of my background. Next, I have London Blue. And I'm using, make sure this is a dry brush when you do this. And I just want, all you need is just a little bit. I'm sorry if you could barely see it, but less is more. And then between colors, just wipe off the excess dust. And now I have Pure Sunshine. Just a little bit. No, this is not the floofy brush, Ray. This is the Dylusions brush set. I'll grab it for you. It comes in a set of 5 brushes in various sizes. What I'm using here is a number 4. Okay, that was Pure Sunshine. And I have some white linen. Just a little bit is all you need. There's like a fan in here and it's like blowing across my craft sheet before it lands. And this background is great if you want to do, it doesn't necessarily have to be a night sky. It could be a galaxy space kind of theme, or it just could be a pretty background. Just an interesting, something different and shimmery. And you can put anything, any kind of focal point on top of it. This I'm using Island Parrot now. And then last color, Cherry Pie. Probably don't need to add the cherry pie, but that's okay. Go ahead and do it. Okay, I know that it looks like there's nothing on here from looking at the screen, but there is. It doesn't matter where you place the colors. You just randomly place them. No, you just want to vary where the placement of them. That's the most important thing. And now I have a sprayer, distress sprayer filled with water. And I'm going to move this out of the way. And I'm going to give this a good spritz from up top. And I'm going to press the trigger all the way down so I get a nice spray. And I want to make sure I see little dots everywhere. And I wish I could bring my craft sheet closer, but it looks good. It's just little dots of color. And then I'm just going to tap this in the background. And I think I did, I think I was being a little too fussy with my colors. So I'm going to add more color. As they keep blowing away. Get a little more gold. And some white. And this is still wet in some places, so I'm gonna like go in the wet and then go on the dry.
So I want to ask which paper works best.
Oh, so to answer your question about which paper works best, you want to use, I'm using heavy stock. You want to use a good thick cardstock because you're the paper, as you can see, the paper is pretty wet.
Does it matter where you place the colors?
You just place the colors randomly so that you get a good variation of the colors. Okay, so so this is what it's looking like so far. And you can't see the shimmer until it dries. I'm going to use the heat tool to dry it a little bit.
Can this be used on stones?
Can this be used on stones? I think it'll work on stones. What you would do this differently to paint on stones. You would make a paint out of the powders and then paint on there, just to make sure it sticks better on the stone. But we're going to make a paint in a little bit, and I'll show you that technique. Okay, so that is kind of, see how shimmery that is? And I feel like I wanted a little more blue here. So you can go back in, and I'm just going to put some blue by this water here and just pick some of that up and just like tap it down to get it. And again, you can't really see. Okay, I think this is good. This is good now. Let's dry it one more time. And there's still some left over on my craft sheet, so I can go ahead and take another piece, and so it doesn't go to waste. I can do that. It's not totally dry yet, but you can see how pretty that is. I'm going to set this aside as we continue to work, and it'll dry some more. I don't want to bore you by watching paint dry. And I'm just going to take in another piece, and I'm just going to pick this up so I don't waste it. So you can go ahead and make a bunch of these backgrounds and then save them for later. Okay, so I'm just going to put that aside, and you can see it'll dry nice and shimmery. I'm going to wipe this up. It did make a little bit of mud here because I had so many colors. But if you do it in stages, you get the nice vibrant colors before they start mixing together. Okay, so now while that's drying, I'm going to set these aside, and we're going to do some embossing. We're going to go ahead and emboss our little fawn here and the sentiment. And again, I'm doing this on some craft paper. And I'm using Dina Wakley Media Moments stamp set. And I'm going to put this little Moments Matter stamp as our sentiment. And I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper to catch my rocks. So for this, I'm going to use the Diamond Pebbles in black. And what this is just a black embossing powder. And then I'm going to use the Diamond Medium to ink up the stamp. And then I'll stamp it down. And I'll put the embossing powder over top. Remove the excess. And before I emboss that to melt it, I'm going to stamp our other image so that we do this all at once. And for this one, I have the fawn stamp set. This is such an adorable set. So I was inspired to use this stamp set because I love the little moon here, and I feel like this is a cute little card just to, if somebody's having a rough time and you want to tell them, just enjoy your quiet time. I thought it's a nice sentiment, and the stamp really fits it well.
Can you use anything else other than the diamond medium?
Yes, you can use any embossing ink to make the pebble stick, or like any kind of ink pad that takes long to dry, because we need something wet to make the powder stick to the paper. And then I'm going to stamp this over here. And then same thing, you pour the powder over top. Remove the excess. And then return this back into the jar. And now we're going to heat emboss this until it melts. And this is the fun part. I love watching embossing powder melt. So in case you just joined me, we're live both on YouTube and Facebook. And at the end of the video, we're going to pick 2 winners, one from each channel. So we're going to pick by your chatting in the comments. So hopefully you can stay to the end. So if you've never used embossing powder before, as soon as you see it turn shiny, that means it's done. And then I hold the embossing tool in one spot and then move it as I see it melt. Oops, I'm blocking the magic, sorry. And that's done. Then we'll get a sentiment. I love the typewriter font on these sentiments from that stamp set. Just gives it a little more character. Okay. And that's melted, and you can see how it turned shiny. And that's how you know it's done. Now, like I promised, I'm going to show you how to use the diamond dust as a paint. So I'm going to paint my deer here. And you can mix your paint in the lids of your diamond dust, or you could do it right on the craft sheet, which is, I think that's what I'm going to do, is do it right on the craft sheet. And what you do is you just put a little bit of powder on the sheet, on the craft sheet. And then you mix a little bit of water until you get the right consistency. The more water you add, the lighter the color is going to be. And you can like test it out to see if you're happy with it. And I can see, I can't get that to focus, but this is looking good to me. And I'm just going to paint our deer just quickly. And when you use embossing powder, you'll notice that the dust will resist the embossing powder, so you can be messy if you want.
Is the diamond dust like mica powder?
Yes, it's mica powder with a special binder in it that helps it turn into the paint, and it sticks. Once it's wet, it'll stick to your paper. And just lighten that up a little bit with some water. Paint his face. And you can see I'm going very fast. You don't have to be like super neat. And I am going to cut this guy out. And then I'm going to use the Pure Sunshine just for like highlights. And I'm using the back of the brush to, because since my brush is wet, I don't want to put my wet brush in the powder. And then I'll make some more paint over here. Test it out to see if I like it. Looks good. And also, not only am I testing it out, I'm taking some of the water out of my brush. I'm just going to make a little highlight. And I'm going to go back and just blend this a little bit. Just a quick, just to give it a little character. We're not worrying about being perfect. Okay, so there we have our little fawn. And I'm just going to let that dry before I cut it out, because now I'm going to go back to our background. And it looks like it's still a little wet. There's little drops of water. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dry it again. I thought it would be dry by this time, but. And so you notice like how the paper is getting curled a little bit. So if I turn that over, it kind of like flattens it out a bit. And this way, if the moisture got to the back, it'll dry that too. Before we go to the next step, we're going to emboss again over top of this. We want to make sure it's dry so that the embossing powder sticks where I want it and not all over the card. Yes, these are just like Perfect Pearls, the Diamond Dust. It's just different colors. It's a Diane's palette. Okay. Now, let me see.
Someone's asking for embossing. Can you use the rocks instead of the powder?
You can, and we're going to use that next. But when the rocks have a larger crystal, so you need an image that has a bold line or a solid line for when you use the rocks. And you'll see that when we're going to do the next step right now. Okay, because I'm going to use the clear rocks. All right, I'm going to wipe this off. We're going to paint again in a bit, but I'm still going to clean this up. Okay, so I have this thing, an overlay that keeps going on my chat. So thank you, Asia, for helping me. It's blocking my chat messages. Okay. Oh, Mary, I'm glad to see that you like this technique. It's really pretty. It's very effective. And so if you want to do this in your journal, for all you journalers out there, you know what I would do? You can try to like do it right in the book, but I would rip out a page and then include it again after you make your background. That's how I would do it. But okay, so now I'm getting my moon stamp here from the, this again is from the Fawn stamp set. And I'm going to decide where I want to put my moon. Let's see, because we are going to paint over it. And we're going to put our deer in the corner. So I think this is a good spot because I have a lot of color here and I want the moon to stand out a little bit more. So again, we're going to ink up our stamp. Yes, this will be available on YouTube, Jennifer. shortly after it'll be posted, so you can watch it again. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stamp this right over the top. You can like, I don't know if you can see that. You could like just barely see it. And then I'm using the clear diamond rocks, and like I said, these have larger crystals. So, and you'll notice that this stamp has very bold lines. So it's okay to use the rocks for this.
Do you have to use a stamp with the embossing inks, or can you hand paint?
The stamp, you can paint the stamp, but not with the pearls.
Embossing pens?
Oh, and you can hand paint with embossing pens. Sure. Okay. The microphone, oh, the volume seems to be cutting in and out. Sorry about that. I have a low voice, and I think if I'm not talking towards it, it doesn't catch me. I'll try to be mindful of that. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. And you see how it's, as it's melting, you can see it more. It shows up a little bit more. And now it's melting, and it's like a dark, shiny image. Okay. So there you can just like barely see it. And that's how I wanted it. I wanted it to be like subtle. If you wanted to, you could just make like a yellow or a gold moon. But what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our paint again. And we're going to paint in the moon so that then you'll see it show more. Okay, I just want to make sure that's ready to go. So we're going to use our pure sunshine again. Oh, the audio is cutting out. Okay. All right, and I'm just going to paint in. And there was a star over here. And what I also just added like some little crosses to give it a little, just a little more sparkle. My star did not emboss as well on this one as my other card. Okay. So let me bring this closer. So now you can see how it kind of, the gold paint really just brings out the moon so that it's shining in the night sky. Okay, and now we're going to use our island parrot, and we're going to make our grass on the bottom. So we're going to make some more paint. Okay, I wonder if the people with this, if you're having trouble with the sound, you need to refresh your browser. Okay, so I'm just gonna paint a little bit of green at the bottom. And I'll use my deer to just to give a little landing spot for my deer. You don't want him to float because he's not floating in space. He's sitting under the moonlit sky on the grass. And now I think I'm going to cut out my deer before I finish that off. And for this, I want to try and cut out as close to the line as I can. As close to the black line. I don't want to really leave too much of a border. Sometimes I like to leave a border when I cut things out, but in this case, I really don't. Christy, thank you. I'm glad you like this background. As usual, when it's on video, you can't really appreciate as much, but please give it a try and you'll see how pretty it is. Okay. And again, if you're just joining us, I just want to remind you that we are going to give away gift cards to rangerink.com at the end of this demo. And we'll be picking one from Facebook and one from YouTube because we're live on both channels. We're getting really fancy, trying to go live and 2 channels at a time. We're going to pick a winner, 2 winners at the end. So I hope you can stay. Darling says, after using the Perfect Pearl powder as paint, do you still have to set the powder or protect it so that they don't come off? So when you use it as paint, you don't need to seal it. But when there's another way to use the powders with the medium and a stamp, and that you do have to protect it. And I can show you that after more towards the end, just so that you get to know another way to use the pearls. Okay, so I think that I'm ready to glue my background to the card. And to do that, since this is like a heavy paper and after being wet, it does get a little, it's not perfectly straight. I feel like a wet glue is the best way to adhere this. And another thing to be mindful, this has to be dry before the glue is going to stick. Just if you try to glue a wet object with wet glue, it's not going to work. So this is it's Dylusions glue. It's a white glue that has a pretty quick drying time. And it sticks really well. And it's great. It's great for paper to paper and for your more heavy duty, like Diane uses it also to glue her chipboard diamond boards onto surfaces. So I got to make sure I get glue in the corners here. Just give this a second. While it's drying, I'm going to cut out my sentiment here. I'm just going to cut little rectangles. Yes, Mary, these Tim Holtz scissors are really good to use. They're nice and sharp, and you can use it for cutting little things like this. It's great for fussy cutting, I think. When did that come out? Are we able to buy it now? Ray, are you talking about the glue? If you're talking about the glue, yes, this is the glue just came out. I think it was like last month, and it is available now. It's in the supply list. It's just let me show you again. Dylusions glue. Okay, now that's good. I want to glue down our fawn. And actually, I want to spread it along the edges so that it sticks good. Put this down right here.
Does it dry clear?
Yes, it dries clear. Okay, and we'll put our sentiment on. Actually, I'm like a planner. I have to place these first before I decide where I'm going to glue. That looks good. Okay, last one. All right, and now I want to add just a little bit more grass at the bottom, but I didn't want to add it till I knew where my deer was sitting. So I need a little more green. Where can you purchase the glue? Penny, you can purchase the glue on rangerinc.com. Asia, I'm going to ask you to put the link to the supply list again. This way you can find it easy. Okay, and I need to test. I'm going in with my wet brush. Shh. Don't tell anyone. It's okay if your brush is damp, actually, to put your pearls, but you don't want to put a soaking wet brush into your pearls. I just want to make it a little darker. Okay, and then I'm just going to make some wispy strokes to make some grass. Okay, I think that does the trick. So that you can see you have this beautiful background. It's such a cute card, and I hope that you'll give it a try. And before we go, somebody mentioned they wanted to see how the powder works with the stamp. So I'm going to do that. This is another way you can use the powder. You can, so you ink the stamp up. Oh, I didn't have my fluffer brushes, but it still works. so we have the ink here. And then, again, we want to take like a dry brush. And Diane has special brushes that have a fluffier head, and so you can use that instead. And I can do I'll just do 2 colors. What'll show up good? I'm gonna make a pink. I just wanted to use so you see the colors nice on the video. I don't know if you could see this, but it's blowing away before it hits the paper. And so really you want a brush that's fluffier, and I don't have that with me. But what you do is to make the pearl stick, you just pat down like so. And you don't need a whole lot. I probably used a little more than I needed. And then you wipe off the excess. I have in this brush set, I have a bigger brush. And you just brush off the excess. And then it sticks to the paper. So this is the time when you need to seal it. And we do that in a couple of ways. You just spritz it with water, and then the water activates the substance in the powder that makes it stick to the paper. But and then you let it dry, but you can use like a spray fixative or like a cheaper brand of hairspray, and that will seal it. You do want to seal the pearls when you use it this way. So I just wanted to show you that little method, even though I'm not going to make a card out of it, just so that you know there's so many things you could do with the dusts. And I hope I've inspired you to try it out. And now I'm going to have Asia pick 2 winners. We are giving away a $50 gift card to rangerink.com, 1 winner from YouTube and 1 winner from Facebook. Okay, darling, you're welcome. I'm so happy you did answer everyone's questions. Oh, and while she's doing that, also, we're always looking for ideas, what you want to see on our lives. If you have any ideas, please drop it in the comments. Yes, water will seal it, but the best job is like a fixative. Will work better to seal it. Okay, so Cindy Alexander Williamson on Facebook, you're our winner. And just send us a DM with your email address. Oh, all right. Send us an email at rangerinc.com at gmail. I'm sorry, Cindy Alexander Williamson from Facebook. And then Melanie R from YouTube. Send us an email at rangerinc@gmail.com with your email address and your full name. Debbie Johnson, what is a fixative? A fixative is a spray that is a protective coating on your for your art projects. And I want to say there's one that's made by Krylon, but you can use hairspray as well. Okay, so I'm reading your request alcohol ink combinations. Yes, Melanie, we're trying to do a lot more lives because they're fun. Okay. The watercolor pens would be nice to see. Pencils, the distress watercolor pencils. We'll love to see uses for superfine embossing powder. Think about paper beads and heavy duty coatings. Okay. We're loving all these suggestions. Okay, couldn't hear the winners' names. Again, Ranger, Cindy Alexander Williamson on Facebook, and Melanie R on YouTube. Email us at rangerinc@gmail.com. Okay, so I'm really glad to hear you enjoyed this, and I guess we'll see you next time.